everybody, welcome to Monday Morning Must Knows. My name is Merlin Rothfeld, and here are several things to pay attention to for the upcoming trading week. Now, first and foremost, I hope that you've all recovered from your tryptophan hangover from that shortened Thanksgiving week, which had a little bit of volatility. Now let's get back into a full active trading week and see what markets will do. Now, let's focus on that. First, we'll start things off with the earnings calendar, which is 472 companies reporting. On Monday, you've got Zscaler. Tuesday brings you Intuit, BHP, Workday, NTAP, and CrowdStrike. On Wednesday, Salesforce, Synopsis, Snowflake, and Hormel Foods. And on Thursday, Dell Computers, Marvell Technologies, and Ulta Beauty. And that, my friends, is it. Now, normally, Fridays are rather light. There's really nothing happening this Friday either. So we have a couple major names out there to pay attention to. Now, let's shift gears here a little bit. We had, at the end of October, a very good GDP. Now remember, there's three different readings of GDP. It starts off with the advanced GDP, then it goes preliminary, and then it goes final. Well, the October number was our advanced. Now we're focusing on the preliminary number. And are those numbers going to be better? Well, let's see what the charts say. Wednesday at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time, that announcement comes out for the preliminary. Remember, this is the second one. In the previous reading, this is where it gets kind of interesting. In the previous announcement for this, which was the advance, they were expecting it to be to go from 2.1% to 4.5%. We came out at 4.9%. Well, now the expectations are that this number here, the preliminary number on Wednesday, is going to come out at 5%, which is getting to a pretty robust GDP number for the United States. Now, not saying this is going to be a monster market mover, but you need to be aware of it because this is going to happen about an hour before the equity markets open and will probably contribute to a good amount of that volatility on Wednesday, simply because this is what the Fed is looking at. GDP, inflation, and unemployment are those three factors. So we have a GDP number coming out. Let's make a note of that one. Now, the next big piece here is an interesting one. It's central bankers. And normally we focus on Jerome Powell because he is the king of kings out there. However, there are dozens of them from around the world that may have an impact on our markets, and there are a ton speaking on Tuesday. So let's start things off there. Tuesday, we've got some notable speeches here at 3 a.m. Eastern Time. All of these, by the way, are Eastern Time. The German Buba President Nagel will be speaking at 10 a.m. East Coast Time. FOMC member Goolsby will be speaking. And then you have Waller 5 minutes after that. At 10:45, you've got FOMC member Bowman speaking. At 11, you've got the ECB President Lagarde will be speaking. At noon, you have the MPC, that's the Monetary Policy Committee member Haskell will be speaking. You have member Barr from the FOMC will be speaking at 1:05 and again at 3:30 p.m. here on the East Coast. So it's interesting because there are so many big names speaking this week. You kind of got to be careful out there. Tuesday could be extremely volatile at all times of the day because remember, it's not just the U.S. markets. You have the European Union with Bubba speaking as well as Lagarde, and you have the U.K. coming out with some presentations or speeches on this. So all of these presentations are going to be talking about interest rates, inflation, growth, all of the global issues that everyone's so concerned with. And any comment from any one of these members can send these markets reeling. So I would say probably the most unpredictable, volatile day where you're going to see moves and go, whoa, what's going on? Probably going to be Tuesday. So be very careful there. All right, our last piece to talk about is going to be inflation. We've talked about this many, many times over and over and over again, but inflation obviously very critical, and that Core PCE Price Index number is what the Fed has said. This is what we're focusing on. Well, let's take a peek. Here is your Core PCE Price Index chart on Thursday at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time. The next announcement is supposed to come out, and if you notice right here, a little box around it, that was our previous number, was 0.3%. Now, what's interesting is if you take 0.3, right, this is per month. If you take 0.3 times that by 12, you're talking about a 3.6% inflation rate on Core PCE Price Index. If you had them consistently, that's not the number the Fed wants. The Fed wants 2%. Well, if we go back to that chart, you'll see here, I'm going to remove that little square and draw a line at what the expectation is. Expectation is we're going to come out at 0.2. Now, obviously, you can see there's significant fluctuations on this chart, but if we can consistently stay at 0.2 over 12 months, that means inflation would be 2.4%, which would be meeting that Fed objective. Now, keep in mind, we did see the CPI and the PPI numbers come out much better than expected. So there is a lot of talk right now. This number may come out even better than expected. And of course, the markets will rejoice if they see anything like that on the horizon. Of course, inflation and all of the rate hikes coming up, which we'll see one in the next week. We'll have a rate announcement potentially for the U.S. Markets. Maybe we stay the same, maybe we lower, who knows? But at least this may drive that discussion about where rates may go going forward, along with all those central bankers on Tuesday. That, my friends, is your Monday Morning Must Knows. We'll see you next week.